Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act Fast opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf? Exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180.
Welcome to CBS Breakfast Show. We are currently here this morning on the passing of the Pope. This is the story that we are highlighting today morning here in the studio at CBS News, and my name is WANGUTUSI.
My name is DANFLOW, LINDWE.
So we'll be starting you off with a newspaper review. DANFLOW, what is happening in the Standard?
So for the Standard newspaper, of course, they're focusing on the Pope's goodbye Pope, Ben Vale Buriani Adios. So the transition, they're talking about departing this world by the Pope. So departing this world on Easter Monday, the holiest day in the Christian calendar, Pope Francis' passing marks the end of a transformative 12-year papacy. As the first Latin American to lead the Catholic Church, he redefined the role with humility, fairness, and openness that often challenged tradition. Messages of condolences flooded the Vatican, united in tribute to a pontiff remembered as the Pope, the people's Pope. So an empire of compassion in human form.
Nice. And now on the Daily Nation, the headline is still on the Pope, and the story reads, transition from the moment of his election as Pope on March 13, 2013, Francis indicated he would do things differently, changing the face of the modern papacy more than any other predecessor. So this is a special coverage on pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 12 on the Daily Nation. So we can go through the Standard first, what is happening on the first pages, and then we'll run through the Daily Nation.
So I'll read here a quote by the Pope. In this world of globalization, we have fallen into a globalization of indifference. We are accustomed to the suffering of others. It doesn't concern us. It is none of our business. That is a quote by the late Pope Francis, who was born in 1936, died in 2025, lived for 88 years. That is a long life. He was blessed with a long life. So he was the 226th Pope, the first Pope from the Americas or the Southern Hemisphere. Remember, he was referred to as the Pope from outside because of this being the first Pope from the Americas or the Southern Hemisphere. Previously, all popes before him actually came from Europe, and that is part of why he was referred as a Pope from outside, born in Argentina and So his parents went to Rome as migrants, and that is where he grew up and finally became a pope. So he was also the first Jesuit to be elected to the throne of St. Peter. So Jesuits were historically looked on with suspicion from Rome. He was born to an Italian family that had escaped Benito Mussolini's fascist Italy. He was the eldest of 5 children. As a young man, he enjoyed tango dancing and became a supporter of his local football club. The Pope also worked as a nightclub bouncer and floor sweeper before graduating as a chemist. He was ordained a priest, becoming a provincial superior for Argentina in 1973. He was named auxiliary bishop in 1992 and then became archbishop. John Paul II made him a cardinal in 2001 and he was elected pope in 2013. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Nice, that's quite nice. Now let's get into the Daily Nation on page 1, where it reads, simplicity, loving Pope who sought to reshape Roman Catholic Church. Now, let's take a quick break and then we'll return in a moment.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act. First opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf? Exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180. Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Welcome back, and apologies for that technical hitch. What we are talking about is now the Pope's visit to Kenya. Now, according to the Daily Nation, Kenya's visit highlighted here is that Pope Francis visited Kenya in November 2015 and led a mass at the University of Nairobi grounds that was attended by hundreds of thousands and watched online and on television by millions more. So the headline here is Simplicity Loving Pope Who Sought to Reshape Roman Catholic Church. So according to this story, or the first image that you're seeing here, is Pope Francis rides in a vehicle in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican after the Ubi et Ubi to the city and to the world. Message was delivered on Easter Sunday, April 20th. So this was just a day before he passed on, because he passed on Monday, early morning hours at around 7. So the pictures highlighted on the Daily Nation include that last visit. You can see a picture of him kissing one of the babies. This is at during the general audience at St. Peter's Square on October 7, 2015 at the Vatican. That's the first picture there on top. The one below it is still of him with some children. Here is at his visit at the neonatology ward at San Giovanni Hospital in Rome. This is September of 2016. And lastly, the picture there is Pope Francis kisses an inmate's foot as he washes the feet of inmates at the Valletri prison south of Rome during the Holy Thursday celebrations on April 18th, 2019. So this is literally highlighting the whole simplicity and loving personality of the Pope that is on the on the second page of the Daily Nation. What is on the Standard?
So for us here in the Standard newspaper, we're seeing here a picture of the Pope during his visit. Remember, he came to Kenya in 2015, and there's a picture of him with the former presidents. On his right is former President Daniel Arap Moi. On his left is former President Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta. So also the Standard has also done a pictorial of the Pope, and here we're seeing a picture where a man lowers the Vatican flag in the old city of Jerusalem. So this happened yesterday after the Pope's death was announced. As we all know, the entire world, actually this is a global mourning. This is not just something that is happening maybe in Rome. This is a global. As you know, the Catholic Church is a universal church, and we're seeing also leaders from across the world pass their condolences to the Roman Catholic Church. President William Ruto, he described the late Pope as, he said, the late Pope exemplified servant leadership through his humility, his unwavering commitment to inclusivity and justice. UK Prime Minister, that is Keir Starmer, said his leadership is a complex and challenging time for the world, and the church was courageous, yet always came from a place of deep humility. Israeli president also condoled Palestine president, Indian prime minister, that is Narendra Modi. He said Pope Francis will always be remembered as a beacon of compassion, humility, and spiritual courage by millions across the world. I was greatly inspired by his commitment to inclusive and all-round development. Congo's president, that is Felix Tshisekedi, said Pope Francis was a great servant of God whose life was a vibrant testimony of faith, humility, and unwavering commitment to peace, justice, and human dignity. So we can see, I think he's being remembered mostly as a humble leader. And yeah, so in other ways, the saying that the Pope was humble was through his, maybe he carried his own luggage, and he was the Pope who carried his own luggage, paid his hotel bills even after his election. He lived in a simple guest house. His humility was a revolutionary leadership that challenged 2,000 years of church hierarchy. Yeah. So as we mourn the Pope's passing, we know Christians are still maybe gathering in churches for this. The Vatican has announced that there will be a nine days of mourning for the Pope, but we also know that the Pope is to be buried between 4 to 6 days after his death. So we'll still be following up on this story, which is being highlighted in every corner across the world right now.
Nice. Now, still on matters the Pope, when it comes to the Daily Nation, and just as highlighted in the Standard,
the visit by the Pope and the different pictures here. Now also on page 4 of the Daily Nation, you get to see the Pope with former President Uhuru Kenyatta, as well as former Presidents Mwai Kibaki and Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. That is still on during his visit back in 2015. As we know of now, he has been Pope for quite some time now, since he took over office, and he was born in 1936 and passed on in 2025. Now, when it comes to the Pope's African visits, here are the key highlighted areas where the Pope visited. First, it's in Kenya in November 25th of 2015. This was between 25th and 27th of November. And then the next visit was in Uganda, November 27th to 29th, still in 2015. So it's immediately after his visit in Kenya, he went to Uganda. Then the next visit after that was in Central African Republic. This is when this is in November 29th to 30th in 2015 still, when Pope Francis visited the Central African Republic amidst conflicts in the country. So after that, the next visit by the Pope in Africa was in 2017. This was when he visited Egypt. And then after Egypt, it was in Morocco, that is March 2019. And then Mozambique in still September of 2019. And next after Mozambique is Madagascar, still September of 2019. Mauritius, September 2019. DR Congo, this is the Democratic Republic of Congo. This was January of 2023. And South Sudan, this is the latest in February of 2023. So we can see that the Pope really did frequent Africa for quite some years, starting in 2015 and his last visit in 2023.
Here at the Standard, I'm also seeing he visited a church in Kangemi. So the title of the headline reads, Kangemi Church, where the Pontiff spent 2 hours in 2015. So a letter and a bad road were all it took for St. Joseph the Worker Catholic Church in Kangemi, Nairobi, to host Pope Francis. That was in November 27th, 2015. So the Pope, according to the parish Catholic Men Association moderator, that is Peter Magu, when they got wind that the Pope was to visit Kenya, he and Pascal Mujanje wrote to the Vatican representative in the country inviting the Pope to the Kangemi Church. So after it was announced which places he was going to visit, we were not among them. That is what Magu says. As assessments and arrangements were made regarding where he was to go, it was discovered that St. Austin's Church in Mukuru, Kwanjenga was inaccessible due to ongoing road construction and the church's location. So the team behind the planning then settled on the Kangemi-based church thanks to the letter sent by Magu and Mujanje. So St. Joseph got the opportunity due to its proximity to Uhuru Highway and because it's a host school and a dispensary. So it was not easy for everyone to access the venue, as Kangemi faithful had only been given 400 slots. So I think this is a good story. It highlights how the church took initiative to ensure that the Pope actually got a chance to visit the congregates at Kangemi Church when he came for his visit in 2015. Yeah, a good story there.
Indeed. Now, what next? This is the question that has been in many people's minds following the passing of Pope Francis. Now, when it comes to page 6 of the Daily Nation, the story is who might succeed Pope Francis? Some possible candidates. So here is a picture of about 9 candidates who are proposed, and the story here reads, predict who the next Pope will be at your own peril. An old Italian saying warns against putting faith or money in any presumed front runner ahead of the conclave, the closed door gathering of cardinals that picks the pontiff. Now, it cautions he who enters a conclave as a pope leaves it as a cardinal. But here are some cardinals who are being talked about as probably to succeed Pope Francis, whose death at the age of 88 was announced by the Vatican yesterday, and they are listed in alphabetical order. So these are the 9 candidates who might be taking on the role of the Pope. Now there is only one black, and let's start from the top. This is Jean-Marc Aveline, Archbishop of Marseille, French. He is aged 66. Cardinal Peter Edo, He is Hungarian, aged 72. Cardinal Mario Grech, Secretary General of the Synod of Bishops, Maltese. He is aged 68. There is Cardinal Joseph Tobin, Archbishop of the Newark NJ American. He is aged 72. There is Cardinal Juan Jose Omela, Archbishop of Barcelona. He is Spanish, aged 79. Pardon. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, Italian, Vatican diplomat, aged 70. There is Cardinal Luis Antonio Gokim Tagol. He is Filipino, aged 67. And the candidate is Cardinal Peter Kodwo Apia. Turkson, he is Ghanaian, Vatican official, aged 76. And there is Cardinal Matteo Maria Zuppi, who is Italian, Archbishop of Bologna, aged 69. So those are the candidates, possible candidates at least. And we will be keeping you updated on how that develops in one way or another. But those are the next steps for who will be taking up the seat next.
So as we look, we take a slight look into the life of the Pope. That was just before he became a priest and a Pope. So before becoming Pope, his birth name is actually Jorge. So Jorge worked as a nightclub bouncer in Buenos Aires. This unlikely background shaped a leader who never forgot his ordinary roots. When he became Pope in 2013, he was the first to choose the name Francis, the saint of poverty and simplicity. So most new popes move into the luxurious apostolic palace with its 10 rooms and staff of 30 people. So Francis refused this, choosing instead a modest two-room apartment in the Vatican guest room. I need to live among the people, he explained. I think that even the aspect of him being the people's pope comes out strongly in this. So his residence became a statement against isolation.
Nice, but here's the thing about Francis' humility. It wasn't just aesthetic. When he washed the feet of 12 prisoners, this is in 2013, including women and Muslims, it shocked traditionalists. And for 2,000 years, popes had only washed priests' feet. Now, his simple act rewrote the papal symbolism. And Francis also drove a 1984 Renault with 190,000 miles when a priest gave it to him. And he rejected the bulletproof Pope. All right, welcome back. Apologies again for that technical hitch. What we were talking about is now still on matters Pope Francis. And another key interesting fact about him is that he drove a 1984 Renault with 190,000 miles which a priest gave to him. He rejected the bulletproof Pope mobile when possible. And when asked about his modest cars, he responded that how can it be that a servant of God becomes so rich? Yes, so that's what we have for you on that.
So his most powerful leadership moment came with 5 words. Who am I to judge? That is what the Pope asked. Who am I to judge? When asked about gay clergy in 2013, this response signaled a profound shift, not in doctrine, but in approach. So leadership through listening and rather than condemnation. So that was the Pope's approach. So Francis created a paradox. The humbler he appeared personally, the more radical his institutional challenges became. He appointed more women to senior Vatican roles. He reformed corrupt Vatican finances. He decentralized authority as well. So traditional leadership projects strength, and Francis displayed vulnerability. With part of one lung removed at 21, he spoke openly about his health struggles. During his final hospitalization in 2025, he refused special treatment. Weakness became a different kind of strength for the Pope.
Nice. Now, back to this story of how the Pope visited the church in Kangemi. There is one member of the church in Kangemi. This is Sister Mary, and she describes her encounter with the Pope with Pope Francis in Kangemi, and she goes on to say, "I was very privileged to meet Pope Francis when he visited Kenya in November 2015. We were astonished and very happy when he insisted on meeting with the residents of the informal settlements and those who work with them. As I worked for many years in Mukuru, I was selected to welcome and address him on behalf of those working in slums." So he met in Kangemi as it was considered more safe and suitable to do space and security reasons compared to other densely populated slums. So that is what Sister Mary says. Now this is Sister Mary Kilin during an interview. Another key highlighted quote here is by Dominic Mutuku, who says that he reminded the church of her deepest identity, not as a fortress of the perfect, but as a home for the wounded. This is something that we have been highlighting even as we are reviewing his history, his past. And one of the other key highlights is that the resistance that he faced was also fierce. Now, conservative cardinals published formal dubia, which are doubts, questioning his teachings. Some called him a heretic, others said his informality undermined papal authority. But criticism revealed what threatened them. What threatened them is power sharing. Now, Francis traveled to places popes rarely visit. These are war zones, refugee camps, prisons, slums, environmental disaster areas, and his focus on the peripheries wasn't just geographical, it was a leadership philosophy. So as we are seeing here and as we are also highlighting, this was his whole personality, very simple, very humble man, and it is quite a sad passing. Yes.
Yeah. So someone here is posing a question, and that is someone on social media, that is Louise. He poses, think about it. When Francis lived simply, he wasn't just saving money. He was modeling a challenge to the entire hierarchy. If the Pope doesn't need luxury, what bishop needs a mansion? If he carries his bags, why do priests need difference? His example rippled down. So yeah, as we remember the Pope this morning, please, as we condole with him, we encourage you, please read the dailies, find out more about his life and his works in the church.
Nice. Now, just as we close on the Pope before taking our break here today morning, there were a few tributes and farewell messages by Kenyan leadership, including President William Ruto, who described the death of Pope Francis as a big loss to the Catholic faithful and the Christian world. Kalonzo Musyoka mourned the Pope as an extraordinary man and most assuredly the best version of humanity. Rigathi Gachagua said the Pope Francis led the church on firm doctrine and faith and inspired many people outside the Catholic Church with great love and humility. And Fernandez Baraza said the Pope's life touched millions around the world and reflected humility, compassion, and unwavering faith. So these are just some of the farewell and tribute messages by different leaders in Kenya towards the late Pope Francis of the Catholic Church. So from that point, we close on the Pope's review, and we will keep you updated on the events that will follow this news, and we will see you in a few moments as we continue our review of the newspaper this morning. Stay with us.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act. First opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf, exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180. Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
All right, now welcome back. This is CBS Breakfast Show. This popularly now will be called the Morning Brew, apologies. And now we are continuing with our news on the different newspapers, still on the Daily Nation, now moving away from the Pope's passing. Is most kidney donors at Medihill were from Mount Kenya. This is data reveals. So according to official data, further indicates that Israelis accounted for the majority of recipients at the medical facility at 37. So we have been highlighting the story of how Medihill has been top of the institutions involved in the unlawful kidney transplants that have been happening. Now, according to an investigation, a letter here reads that the investigation into suspected organ trafficking was triggered by a July 20th, 2023 letter by Professor Elmi Muller, the president of the Transplantation Society, and Dr. Thomas Muller, the co-chair of the Declaration of Istanbul Custodian Group. Now, the two wrote to Dr. Morris Wakububui, then acting CEO of the Kenya Tissue and Transplant Authority in Kenya. The Kenya Tissue and Transplant Authority has since been renamed the Kenya Blood Transfusion and Transplant Service. Now, the agencies became suspicious after Israeli patients returning home after kidney transplants in Kenya indicated they had received organs from donors who seemed fictitious. So not enough information was disclosed about who these donors were. The procedure seemed to have been not very transparent, and it is still an unfolding and developing story which we will be keeping you updated on, but that is what is happening here. Just beside that story, it says witnesses in organ trafficking probe face death threats. So just a breakdown of this story is that witnesses in the alleged human organ trafficking at Medihill are facing threats following fresh investigations into suspicious kidney transplants right after activists in the North Rift have claimed. So this is one of those developing stories. It seems that we will still be highlighting this as the week goes on to see what What changes will be there? Just as we were closing last week, new CS of the Health Ministry, CS Aden Duale, disclosed that there are some changes which will be made there, and we will keep you updated on that.
Now, moving on to matters politics, today President William Ruto is actually set to jet to China. That is for talks with the Chinese president. So Ruto takes Kenya's wish list to Beijing as trade winds shift. That is the headline by the Standard newspaper. So President Ruto trips to China focuses on Belt and Road talks, trade and infrastructure financing. Ruto's 5-day trip to China, it's actually a state visit starting today, April 22nd, is being described as a pivotal diplomatic and economic mission, according to analysts and officials in both Beijing and Nairobi. So Ruto is the first African leader to visit Beijing since US tariffs disrupted global trade, presenting Kenya with a unique opportunity to capitalize on the fallout. Analysts say this visit comes at a time when the global economic landscape is shifting due to rising trade protectionism. So the Belt and Road movement is actually, it's a Chinese initiative, and it cuts across different nations in Africa, where the Chinese work together with African nations to build roads, bridges, as well as railway lines. So here in Kenya, we know that the SGR, the standard gauge railway, was actually built through the initiative, the Belt and Road movement. And so Kenya is actively seeking Chinese funding to complete the SGR extension to Malaba and other road projects. So discussions around enhancing cooperation under the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation are also expected. So as our president jets to China, we are hoping to see what goodies he brings back. Will we be securing more loans? Are Kenyans even interested in getting more loans? Will we get a big road project or a railway project like we saw under the Uhuru Kenyatta regime? So Ruto here, a quote here by Ruto says, "We are looking forward to sharing our green energy resources with China, which has advanced technology in solar panels and electric batteries." So that is Ruto's 5 days trip to China. We'll be keeping you updated on that. Any developments, any deals he makes, we'll let you know about them.
Nice. Now, still matters presidency when it comes to still when it comes to now who will be contesting in the 2027 elections. In page 18 of the Daily Nation, it reads Matiang'i's 2027 bid and Kenya's fork in the road. Now, a sub-headline there, here is a quote on Politics by Lewis Ngunyi. Maraga and Omtata offer a harder road, clean, untested, untethered to dynasties. Choose Matiang'i and it's the same game. Power, recycled, sins buried. That is quite a quote. And now just next to it, it's the committee recommended him. That's a totally different story. But now still on matters Matiang'i, it was revealed that he recently jetted back into the country. We have been seeing different stories when it relates to former Deputy Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka as well, and also Busia Senator Okiya Omtata when it comes to the vying for 2027 presidential bid, or for the seat itself. So when it comes to this story, a person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it, said Jean de la Fontaine. Now, Fred Matiang'i is jetting into Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on April 17th, steps into this proverb's shadow. Hailed by Jubilee Party Jeremiah Kioni as Kenya's next savior, his speculated 2027 presidential bid casts him as a technocrat poised to challenge President William Ruto. But his past as Interior Cabinet Secretary, tainted with abductions, court defiance, and a trail of blood, raises a brutal question: is Matiang'i just Ruto with less charisma and fewer lies? That is quite the story. I think the next general election will actually be one to look out for, because just after Matiang'i jetted into the country, we've seen a lot of discussions on Twitter. And initially we had seen Maraga and Okiya Omtata. Gen Zs are pushing for the two to be elected in the next election. But will it actually happen, as we are seeing Kenyans hunger for leadership that actually aligns to the rule of law and the constitution? So
there's a debate. Will it be Maraga and Omtata? Will it be, that is the former CS, Fred Matiang'i? Will Ruto retain his seat? The next general election is definitely an interesting one. Now, in other stories here in the Standard newspaper, we're seeing a story about Kericho emerges as Kenya's newest coffee hub. So a quiet revolution is unfolding in Kericho County, where expansive maize fields are steadily giving way to flourishing coffee plantations, marking a significant shift in the region's agricultural landscape. So according to a report by New Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, Kericho now contributes approximately 10% of Kenya's total coffee output, establishing itself as one of the country's fastest growing coffee producing zones. So the results are already visible. So Coffee Farmers Cooperative was recently recognized as the best performing coffee cooperative in Kenya. That is the Torsogek Coffee Farmers Cooperative. Its chairperson, Frida Moigon, revealed that the society paid a total of 190 shillings per kilogram of coffee cherry to its 379 members. So yeah, we're hoping to see how that develops, because we have seen, normally we know that most of Kenya's coffee actually comes from central Kenya, and it is actually a good sign to see other regions like Kericho County emerging as Kenya's newest coffee hub.
Nice. Now, moving aside from matters politics, current affairs, we're now getting into business. And KETRACO is set to construct a 12 billion power hub. Now, the construction of the planned 12.26 billion National Electricity Dispatch Center will start mid next month, that is in May. And as the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, moves to restore reliable supply on the national grid. So that is one of the key stories when it comes to business. And just another key highlight here is betting taxes to plunge by 4 billion on tough economy. So taxes from the betting sector are projected to dip by 4.2 billion in the current financial year, underlining a slowdown in a craze that has for years braved a taxation onslaught. So we have been, in previous years, it has been highlighted that different betting companies were being taxed quite a lot, to a point where they seeked for leniency from different government stakeholders. And now it's quite interesting to see that 24 billion is the amount collected by KRA from the sector last year, and it is set to reduce by 4.2 billion shillings. So that is just one of the key highlights here. And another key business point is that 15% of excise duty is imposed on betting stakes, up from 12.5%. So for anyone betting, that is the information or the latest development in that sector. We will be keeping you updated on how different company players, this is different betting companies, will be reacting to this news and how that will develop.
And we move on to Kakamega County. So the Standard highlights a story, and the headline is Ghost Kakamega Airstrip Turns into Hideout for Criminal Gangs. So barely 2 years ago, Kakamega Airstrip, located in Shinyalu constituency, bustled with activity and stood as a beacon of economic promise for the surrounding communities. With regular flights, the facility served as a critical economic hub, offering jobs, boosting trade, and providing a vital transport link for residents. However, since Skyward Express suspended its operations due to the deteriorating condition of the runway, the once thriving airstrip has fallen into disrepair. It now functions less as a gateway to prosperity and more as a grazing field and a hideout for criminal gangs, fueling insecurity and disillusionment in equal measure. So a resident here in Kakamega says it is shameful that our leaders claim to be championing development, yet a project meant to uplift lives is left idle. That is Benjamin Akwata, a resident of Kakamega. So this, the hub was, the airstrip in Kakamega was once a critical economic hub, but now it has been overturned into a cattle grazing field and plagued by crime. So maybe we are hoping to see, and so the residents accuse both the national and the county governments of neglecting the facility, which could have served a lot of people in the area. So maybe we're hoping to see how maybe if the county government of Kakamega and the national government can work together to restore the airstrip to its previous glory. We'll be keeping you updated on that as well.
Nice. Now, still matters business. Just following President William Ruto's visit to China for matters trade and development, on Monday night, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi led a high-level meeting with the International Monetary Fund (IMF) in Washington. Now, the meeting included key IMF departments, with Kenya's governance and anti-corruption frameworks being top of the discussions. So the meeting, which was part of the 2025 spring meeting, has called for efforts in accountability mechanisms to reinforce public trust. And this follows a request by IMF to strengthen frameworks and reduce corruption, with Treasury embracing IMF's governance diagnostic assessment. So these are the new IMF recommendations. We are yet to see or hear regarding the new funding model that will be shared with us. This is by the Ministry of Treasury, and we will be keeping you updated on his visit. Now, this is CS John Mbadi, his visit on that, and also the President's visit in China, and how that will develop business-wise and how the impact that it will have in the Kenyan economy.
And still on matters business, here the Financial Standard highlights a story where Kilifi gas plant shrugs off court ban and safety fears. Is it callous? The Standard asks. So cancellation of Lake Gas environmental license is not deterring its resolve to launch operations, even after a botched LPG shipment delivery last year exposed gaps in the marine discharge infrastructure. And the story continues on page 20. You'll find that story on page 20 and 21 of the Financial Standard. So it's actually a Tanzanian farm. It presses on with Kilifi gas plant amid safety fears. So it's actually raising concerns about the safety of Kenyans and those living around the region. The PS Petroleum, that is Mohammed Liban, said, this is his quote, the construction quality is impressive with top-tier security systems, automated monitoring for both onshore and offshore operations, and comprehensive fire infrastructure. So we're hoping to see how that develops. Will the gas plant still be allowed to operate? Is it pushing forward? Will the authorities go to maybe put a halt to their operations again, or will they continue operating despite the court ban and the withdrawal of their license?
Nice. Now, aside from matters business, unless there is any other, we are jumping right into sports news. And the Kenya under-17 girls are set to sharpen attack for Cameroon fixtures. So they are currently in Egypt. The story here reads that Coach Cheche wants more from her strikers after first leg loss to Cameroon at Nyayo Stadium. So stung by numerous missed chances in their 1-0 loss to Cameroon on Sunday, in the World Cup qualifiers, Kenya coach Mildred Cheche is out to sharpen the team's striking force ahead of Friday's return leg fixture at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé. Now, the return leg match will be played from 7 p.m. Kenyan time, with the aggregate winner qualifying for 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, which will be played in Cameroon from October 16th to November 3rd. So the pictures here are of fans inside Nyayo Stadium, and also Kenya's Joyangela Valencia, that's on the left, and tussles for the ball with Cameroon's De Ivana during the match. So they are set to have the game this week. They are currently in Egypt, and we will be updating you on that. However, on the latest EPL games, Liverpool beat Leicester 1-0, and Real Madrid also beat Atletico Bilbao 1-0. We shall be keeping you updated on this and other news on that.
And still on matters sports, so Tusker surge ahead as title race takes shape. So Tusker moved into the summit of the FKF Premier League over the weekend after capitalizing on the fall of their closest challengers. So that is the Kenya Police, and Gor Mahia as the title race intensifies with 7 matches left before the end of the 2024-2025 season. So the Brewers, who was second coming into the weekend, narrowly edged out Nairobi City Stars, that is 1-0, thanks to Dennis Wanjala's first half strike. So victory lifted Tusker to the top with 51 points, leapfrogging the then leaders Kenya Police, who lost 1-0 to Ulinzi Stars last Friday. So yeah, we'll be keeping you updated on more sports. So this week we know the Junior Starlets will be playing on Friday. That is after they lost on Sunday. That was at the Nyayo National Stadium. Wish them all the best in the upcoming matches.
Nice. Now to close off on sports, we still close off with the Pope, whereby Argentina has cancelled games after death of fan Pope Francis. So the story reads that Argentina Football Association postponed all fixtures on Monday to mourn Pope Francis, an ardent fan of the game and supporter of Buenos Aires Lorenzo team. So just as we started it, is just how we are ending it, with the passing of the Pope and how it is impacting every single area of our life, every single corner of the world. And it is with that we close this morning's show. It has been a pleasure being with you this morning. Keep warm, outside is quite cold, but we are here with you this morning and throughout the day in our subsequent bulletins. My name is RAPH WANGUTUSI.
My name is DANFLOW, LINDWE, and please remember to grab yourself a copy of the dailies to delve deeper into the stories we've highlighted to you today. As we continue mourning the passing of the Pope, please stay tuned into the CBS News for more updates.
Yes, that is 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m., and 9 p.m. Catch you there. Have a good one. Cheers.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 39 2180. Act Fast opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates. Looking to build a better future in the Gulf? Exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180. Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26 88888 or 0733 666632 or 0721 92 3248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.